Welcome to Disclosure Network New York. I'm Nick Curto, DNNY Director and co-founder. Our DNN Group is a grassroots organization now celebrating our 20th year of providing two meetings a month throughout the year in Manhattan. We focus on cutting-edge UFO, ET, paranormal phenomenon of all kinds, and many related and important subjects that the mainstream news will never ever cover. In other words, who or what is pulling the strings? Our members do intensive investigative research into these various topics, and they share that information with our group right now at our Zoom meetings and also on the internet. We also have a website, and that website is dnny.info. I'm going to repeat that, dnny.info. Our motto right from day one has been and still is, quote, connecting the dots to seek truth, unquote. We have available to all of our supportive members the DNNY News Blast email service, and that's a daily service that gives you up-to-date news of interest to our members. It's never been more active. We've got people who give us stories from now all over the world. It's an amazing group of people, and it's as cutting edge as it gets. We've had a lot of compliments about the fact that we have this and how much information people are getting of top quality. And again, a lot of this is not in the mainstream corporate news feed at all. Okay, here we go. And I am so thrilled to have him here. He is certainly one of my favorite interview people. He's a very close and very, very dear friend, both him and his wife, Phyllis. Marc Brinkerhoff, welcome, sir. Unmute and say hello. We're going to mute. Okay, you're going to do. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
We're unmuting.
You're coming in loud and clear. In fact, the sound is excellent, Marc. So I'm glad. Phyllis, also, hello. I know you're there somewhere.
Hi.
Hello, Phyllis.
Remember, it's Soupy Sales.
Is she the woman behind the curtain?
Yes.
Yes.
She is.
No, she animates me.
She does. Oh, wow. Phyllis, that must be a full-time job, is it?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sometimes her hair will fall in. Yeah.
Well, more about that later, folks.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, Marc. So look at, there's so much we could talk about with you. And I just want to mention to the people that are listening that I've seen all the various places that you've done interviews throughout the years. It's staggering how many interviews you've done. You and Phyllis are known not only in America and Canada, but in Europe with Bobby Brown's.
Yeah.
And you've done so many of them. And I just want to tell you, you're just spreading the word about what's really going on around here. And people are being enlightened. And just thank you so much for all that you're doing, both you and Phyllis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be on another show we were offered the other day.
Wow.
Bob Charles, March 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Well, you'll post it
But
on
I'll
Facebook.
post it, but he just talked with us this past few days.
Fantastic. Give it to me as soon as you can, so I'll post it to everybody here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
okay. So go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
we're here.
What I want to do here is right off the bat, I am so excited that Hercules Invictus, who happens to be my producer, giving me a shot at 4 live programs a month.
Yes.
And now he's invited you and Phyllis to have your own podcast. I am so thrilled about that. That is great news.
Thanks.
Congratulations again.
Well, I believe you're part of it because, well, let's say the upstage crew, as we call them, had told us that something would happen and just get prepared for it, but we weren't expecting it this soon. We were thinking like next year and still working on our 2 books or 3 books that we have. And we're working on also a Nature Kingdom book based on our experiences here. We have a lot of activity with the little fairies and elves and a dragon and angels, of course. So the progression of the way they are. And we've got some photographs from the 80s that we took here of them. And Phyllis and I both seen them. I've seen them definitely densely physical, like a literal elf on a shelf.
Wow.
They're sitting on a shelf over here behind me, actually in front of me when you walk in our door. So his name is Hyan, and he's in our, what do we call that plant? I never remember the names of the plants, but a big
A Chinese
Chinese evergreen or something.
Yeah, China.
Right.
And he's now, when I saw him, he was sitting on the shelf about 14. If we estimated, he was probably about 13 or 14 inches high sitting. So if he stood up on his legs that were hanging with his little shoes and everything, he would have probably been taller. Now today, the same elf is about 4 feet and change. Where that day I met him back in the 80s, he was just shorter, but he was very physical, and showed himself to me on purpose, because when an elf or a nature spirit or a fairy reveals themselves to you in a physical way, that's a gift. They're allowing you to see them, and they come physical solid, and then they'll dematerialize.
You know what I'd like to do, because Mark is, I'd like to jump in and say, with Mark, he never really establishes his foundation, why he has this incredible access into these other realms that it's almost as though we're living with an entire other family in this apartment. He has this incredible access because of where he comes from and how he came in. And so just to lay the foundation,
Sure.
he basically came in with higher self abilities, and he communicates for his spiritual wisdom to oversoul level. So he doesn't read books, never had to. As a matter of fact,
I read books, but
not really.
Not spiritual.
The ETs always said, you're not going to find anything in the books that will be more clear than what we are telling you.
I could hold a book at a Barnes and Noble and know what was in it and go, nothing new. And then I test myself for fun. I'd flip it open, and sure enough, it's stuff from the 50s, 1950s and 60s brought back again.
But I just wanted to pop in and sort of clarify that for people that don't know you at all, because as you start to speak, the way you speak is so natural about all of the interdimensional realms that it almost sounds fanciful. But having been with Mark for over 40 years, I've seen it over and over and over again, paranormal, supernatural experiences, UFOs coming. When he says, they just told me they're coming, and we run to the window and he takes UFO photographs. So he is literally in touch. And the other thing that's to clarify is that he is never out of touch. So normally every single day of my life since I've met Mark, I'll say, well, what does Sarah say about this or say about that?
That's my oversoul.
And so that's me asking, infinite amount of cosmic questions or spiritual questions or questions that have to do with anything, to do with the paranormal, with ghosts, with evolution, with reincarnation. I mean, the list goes on. It really is almost, there's nothing you can probably come up with in a spiritual idea that he would not be able to answer. Certain things like, where is the gold hidden from, whatever, what they call it? What were we watching yesterday?
Like they discovered all this gold and stuff on one of these antiques, ancient histories.
Stupid questions.
So no, I don't know, and don't care where the gold is.
Like,
it's not what we need on the other side.
Like, what are the lottery numbers? That's insulting.
No,
but but questions that have real meat on the bone about our spiritual evolution, I think people should ask those questions, whether or not there are UFOs and ETs visiting the planet, that's like an irrelevant question to us. That, yes, of course, obviously there are. They're coming from multiple places. They're coming from inside the earth. They're coming from multiple planets. They're coming from multiple dimensions.
Yep.
So
they're here.
When people say they have experiences, our question is, who are they?
Yeah.
So Mark knows who they are. And I just wanted to lay the foundation for him.
I know who I'm talking to. I get wary when I hear people saying they take a lot of photographs or something, they're drawn to take a picture or something. But you can't just go around just taking these pictures and saying, oh, these are nice guys. You don't know who they are. And if they're not sending a telepathic message, I would back off, because that's usually some other group or even our own Earth type people.
I have been educated what you're saying, I have been very much educated by others who are saying very much the same thing, and that just like here on Earth, there are the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Yeah.
and some of them are
Precisely.
incredibly spiritual and very high up and beautiful and loving, and there's others that are exactly the opposite of that. And what you're saying, Phyllis and Mark, absolutely true. That in my gut, I know that's right.
It's
Uh,
true.
yeah.
I was
Also,
giving, oh, go
just one
ahead.
more thing. Just one more thing is that
Yeah.
just so you guys should know that this morning I scanned and I gave everybody in the group your whole bio from your website. So it's all the backgrounding of Mark, all the amazing things that you have been and are now currently doing. They have
Okay.
that. So I just wanted to let you know that I did give them a background before. That hopefully they read it. Just so you
Oh,
know that.
Oh, and I'm going to jump in and say one more thing to annoy the group, because I know everybody wants to hear from Mark.
the hand.
The
Yeah.
only
Phyllis, you're very
reason
annoying. Phyllis, you're very annoying. You're
I,
very
I
annoying.
am, I am. The
Hit her
only
hard.
reason, there's only one reason that Mark is here on this planet, and
Okay?
that's because he came to rescue me in this incarnation, because
Yeah.
we are in an end time scenario. And so I think there was a special dispensation saying, okay, you can go and get her. She doesn't, he's my soulmate, I'm his soulmate. And so when we get off this planet, this will be it for
And
me.
if
I
there was
won't
a
be,
tombstone, you'd say I'm out of here, but
yeah, it's like, anyway.
there might not be.
And we have shared out of bodies, we have shared waking visions, we have shared, we have shared experiences together over the course that confirmed for me, this is real.
We've been
You
together
know,
for
I
like
got it.
43 years.
43 years. And you know what? That's another reason I'm so thrilled that you're going to have your own hour every month, because your story is so dimensional and so long and wonderful that you couldn't possibly
Thanks.
fit that into an hour. You couldn't fit it into a weekend. I mean, really, if it was a nonstop broadcast. So the fact that you're getting more airtime and can go into the details a little bit more, truly, that's going to be, I'm very, very excited for you and for
Thank
us.
you. Thanks, Nick. Because we were like, we were asking Hercules, like, we're just going to talk. He says, well, that's what you guys are really got all this information. You just start talking because
No
there's never
problem.
time.
No problem.
And we'll just pick subjects or have people email us and say what about things. Maybe that's what we'll do because it's only an hour. And then
I
maybe
told him the same
later.
thing, Mark. I told Hercules the exact same thing. I said, Mark and Phyllis, oh my God, you'll never have enough time to get all the things that they have been through, have experienced firsthand, and are currently doing. So you need that kind of airtime. So yeah,
Yeah,
I also second that. I don't want to let you know.
we second that emotion.
I did.
Yeah, because that's what we were saying. Phyllis and I were talking like, even if we had someone come to be with us, maybe just to talk about one of their experiences, I don't know. We were joking about it because we have so many topics, like we're typing them up, like lots of topics.
Oh wow.
Everything we want to talk about, paranormal, cryptozoology, one of my favorites, because I've seen
But
enough
that
stuff.
doesn't help people
But
very
that doesn't
much.
help people with the other side. It's just that there are beings here, like we got Bigfoot. Phyllis and I have seen Bigfoot
We
with
like,
close up.
I want him to really start dealing with things like karma.
Karma.
How do you get off this level? What is oversoul living like? What is the progression through the levels of consciousness? What accelerates it and what does not? I mean, there's so many things that are really relevant to our soul progression.
And the earth changes that are coming through cosmic.
Why
levels.
should the elemental kingdom matter to us? And there's the book that we're writing could just go on forever on the elemental kingdom. Yesterday we decided, well, let's just take some of the rocks and get their names. And so we started getting the rocks. I don't see,
It's
you can
reversed.
see them.
Oh, it's reversed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But he started getting, he says, oh, well, Bahran is an elf-like gnome. He's in the rock that came from Canada. And he could literally draw an illustration of that being. Dalna is an elf-like gnome. She female. She lives in the large crystal that we got from a friend of ours, Bryce Bond. That one's from Arkansas. Haldon or Holden, an elf-like gnome male. he lives in the heart, in the Granite Heart, and he came from Compton, Rhode Island, and they all have unique personalities. They all look different. They coexist beautifully with all the regular nature spirits that are living in our plants. I mean, this is the kind of idea of consciousness that if people really were to stop and think about what we are coexisting with, and how what evolution means when you add it all together, your minds would be blown.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more on that.
The nature spirits is a whole different place to go for a whole, gosh, for a show just on them. And we have a website we've created called, for a while.
It's a little bit down.
But it's down a little, getting readjusted by Phyllis, but it's called fairyreality.com. And we got some of the photos in there, I think we did.
And right now,
I don't know.
It's under construction because I've taken off a lot of the information because I was giving too much information out and a lot of it's going in the book. So I just thought, you know what? I want people to read the book. So I'm going to just give you ideas of what's,
Well,
this book will be illustrated.
Let's go into that just for a second, because I know you're working on books, especially one. If you will, just tell me and the audience a little bit about what you're currently working on, and is there any release dates coming up? Just go into that a little bit, please.
Talk to Mark.
The nature spirit book is.
Yeah, but I think you should talk about the universal symbols, because that's a major piece.
The major one we wanted to get out first was omniversal symbols, and that means multi-universes. And the reason we called our show ET Universal Zone, like Twilight Zone, we originally had ET Omniversal Zone, but then we figured many people don't understand Omniverse, but they understand universe. So we'll just talk about multi-universes in that show and keep it as ET Universal Zone.
Easy to remember.
Easy to remember.
Yep.
And the fairy book we're working on is to bring the truth of who these little people are. They're really not all little either. They get start off like this, but they end up being a tree spirits are about 100 feet or more, and redwood trees in California would be hundreds of feet tall, these entities, and they're all beautiful beings. We got sylphs of the air, the undines of the water, like mermaids, and water sprites. And I've seen them on the seashores, the water sprites that look like tiny little bubbly shaped transparent type tiny elves or sprites. Mermaids, I've seen them in the water, not a dense physical one, but you see them. When I've been out of body, I've seen them in the water when I was out of body. And for me out of body, then they're physical. So they take on the shape with the fin and everything. They're taking on that shape. That's not how they really are, but they just take on what they love, and they take on the look of what creatures they love. Like there are fairies that we see on TV shows or movies, like Fairy Tale, The True Story is one movie that our fairies enjoy, even though it's based on a true story with the little girls from the 1930s, Cottingley fairies. But the girls' photos were not accurate. They were a little hoaxed, but there was one picture in the book called The Fairy Bower. It was a photo of the bower that was created, like a little cotting, like a little house or something in the woods, a cottage. Fairies, right. So it's the Cottingley fairies. And when I looked at that photo, I saw the original books. A person I knew in the 70s had the original books from the 1920s because she was alive there. She's passed on a long time ago, but she loaned me the books. And I looked at the photos. I said, these are not accurate. These are not real. And she said, oh yes, they were guaranteed, filmed and tested and everything. Yes, they're real. I said, no, they're not. They're fake. So I couldn't get that to sync for her. But I pointed to the book and said, this picture's real. There's energy in that picture. That has an actual energy in it. So that picture of the bower is in the book, but it's just a dark, shadowy, grassy look, close up of grass. As the other photos were faked by the girls, and they exclaimed that they, let's say they came truthful on their thing in the 1970s when they were on their way out of the earth plane. They admitted it. Like one of them said, well, from my position, I could see the hairpins. She was the one like this with the picture with the fairies there. So they doctored the pictures on purpose to help her father, one of the girls' father, one was a cousin, the mother,
they had lost the
they
child.
lost their brother.
Yeah.
And they wanted the mother to accept that these beings are real, and because they had seen them. People really have seen them, and these kids saw them, but they couldn't get real pictures of them. So they figured, let's cut them out and doctor it. And the brother was an artist, so that he used to have a folder of stuff. So also pictures taken from magazines in those ancient days in the 20s and 1917, 1918. He took pictures of magazines. And so many of the fairies in the photograph had the style of the flappers or the 1920s look. And that was from his magazine. So the girls copied things.
Okay.
But, fairies are very loose. They appear and they will mimic things. So they have contests and they play games of mimicking, making up costumes. So anything goes with fairies. They could do it. They'll do anything. So
Question on that is that I know a lot of our world cultures have stories and a lot in this. I'm half Irish. My mother's side of the O'Sheas
Right.
from Tipperary. From the O'Sheas from Tipperary. It does not get more Irish than that. And
Wow.
my question is, there's a lot of in the literature of Ireland and the Irish people, they're talking about the little people. And I'm just thinking what you're saying, that they probably had some real contact, some real uh, amazing,
yep.
amazing one-to-ones. And so that became part of their folklore. Am I right on that?
Oh yeah, it's ancient. It's very ancient. And I asked the fairies here because they go on field trips, believe it or not. Who would have thought? We ask the questions. They go, yeah, we do. So we found out once these little fairies,
Well,
little
they
guys.
go with the angels.
But I was just going to say how
Yeah.
fairies normally, when they're out on the field, they're little fairies on around a flower in a garden.
Mhm.
If they're not around people enough, like a wild fairy in the woods, uh, to learn about what angels are, they see them. The fairies see them in the forest walking as angels of fields, angels of mountains, and they just think that these are something they're not. They just don't understand. So it's okay. They have a little. I can't my mind here. They're listening very closely. Most fairies have a mental.
Like
I want to say like a 5 or
like
6 or 7-year-old.
Yeah.
When they're plants and they're working in the fields and stuff. So as we come along as humans or aliens, whatever, and we come along, we telepathically, and we talk with them, they start to learn. And as they learn, they grow more. And so what I've discovered through our guardians, our angels, is that when we introduce them, we say, those beings you see that are walking with us, those people, those are future yous. You look like this in the future, because fairies and the elementals become the angelic realm. So humans do not become angelic realm. We could become like them, but we do not become angelics like them. They are totally different species from souls. So with creator, like another substance with creator. So first creation, and then the souls came after.
And they have free will.
So all of them have free will. All nature's kingdom, everybody, all angels, and even the fallen have free will. Because why do you think they fell? Because they had free will, because they thought they could be better. Let's do it our way. That's what goes on. So we and they're in a timeout, let's say. So from creator's love, even though creator loves them all. So the nature kingdom, as they grow with people, talking with people, if you're in nature, sitting by the pond or something, or lake, and you intuitively see them sometimes around the corner of your eye, peripherally, you'll see little glows of sparkles of light. Telepathically, if you're in tune with them, or will it to be to talk with them, you might see a glow in your third eye, and you might see a reflection of a picture of a face that they want you to see, because they know they have an icon look, like the Irish and the Scottish elves and all that. So that's the picture they might project. But if we're expecting something else, they might not just show up. They might just show up as a glow of a human, little tiny form, like a person, like a sprite with the little wings as well. So they put the little wings on their back that they love, of moths, butterflies, and even birds. They will put feathered wings on their back, and makes you think of angels, right? Feathered wings. But angels told me we don't normally have these wings. We put them on if people expect it, but that's not normally the way they are.
You know,
That's,
it's so amazing what you're saying. I'm a student of a spiritual book called the Urantia book, and I've been studying it for 35 years. And
Mhm.
they go into a little bit of the detail of what angels have to power themselves, to go from place to place. And it's not feathered wings. It says that. I mean, how interesting some of the parallels are. It absolutely blows me away when these
yeah, I know.
parallels
I've
are
never
drawn.
read your Urantia books. I never read these books. And I mean, there's truth in all books somewhere.
Right.
There's truth. And if they keep saying they're channeled, I always back off a little bit from
Okay.
them
Hmm.
because channeled can be manipulated.
But
But if a person's a clairaudient, clairsentient, and they're really hearing something, that would be conscious channel. That I'd listen for. I would want, oh, you heard this right here, listening, talking, dictating to you. But when they start going into this channeled mode, I back off because I know what's on the other, what's around them. Because I've seen channels in action in the 70s and talking nice stuff, but I could see the beings around them were not who they said they were. I didn't say anything. I was too young to interrupt people in those days. I was probably 21. You know, I was like, interrupt this wonderful woman who opened her house for me to come in with her group and listen and observe. So I watched, but I'm not going to say anything. Although I'm friends with Kuthumi, who is known as Saint Francis, and I physically met him. So the thing is, these somebody might be saying they're Dwal Cool or they're Saint Germain or somebody else, and they were coming through a person, but I wasn't seeing that person standing around them. And that's as best as I could say. So
yeah.
there's playful entities that are low, they're astrals, and they pretend, and they know exactly what to say because they hear, see, watch whatever person's doing. If they're a channel, they're observing everything they're doing and they're reading, speaking about, comes in their energy field, and they see it as an auric thought forms. So they read that and they know what to say. And they're like, oh, I wish I can get this. So then they say, in the future, this is coming to you, because they already know. See how they work? They trick people like that.
Yep.
So it's kind of when dealing with a channeling and dealing with entities, always test them. That's what Christ said: test the spirits, test the entities. You can't do it, and you have to test it by using His name, because these beings, low as they might be and fallen, or playful, and they know they're being bad. You see, they know what they're doing. They're just hoping the people don't catch on
Catch
what they're
on.
doing.
Right. Catch
So
on.
if you
Yes.
say, um, whoever's coming to me right now, and you say you're what, Ashtar, I'm friends with him. I know the way he speaks, and I've heard enough on these YouTubes and everything else, or whatever we got out there, writings, when it's not him speaking, because he doesn't speak that way. They don't speak with flowery language. They don't speak like this,
And they don't compliment you.
and they don't boost your ego. That's a clear sign when you're being tricked. They'll boost your ego, say
Right.
how wonderful you are. Oh, you're the only one doing this, and you're so special. Yeah. Did anybody watch
Also,
People of Earth, when they take people out of body out into the ship and they abduct them? The People of Earth TV show. They would go, "You're special."
right. 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 Well.
Did you
Well.
tell them you're special? Because you got to tell them that. And that's what they were doing with that show. And the thing is that's kind of what goes on those realms where they would abduct people, but it's not a good thing. And we
Mark.
don't like that.
Also, I know for a fact that, and I've talked to other people about this too, that ETs can project different imagery of what they want you to, how to see them, but that
Mhm.
might not be at all what's really there. Could you go into that just a little more for me?
Exactly. That's again testing the spirits. That's when you say test spirits, just mean test the entity they say they think they are coming as, because this is that realm. We're in it where they do that. This is how they do it. This is the game they play here. And we as souls, well, I came in, I already knew about this plane, but I'd never been here before, except walking as an Etherian with the dinosaurs and other times and before. And we've been here for a couple of millions of years, actually a lot of millions of years. So when I was visiting Phyllis, when she was taking on Earth, a couple of Earth lives up at 50 now total,
Mhm.
and sometimes people come in, they say, well, I had like 100 Earth time lives on here. Not all of them are fulfilled. Sometimes they're coming in as a baby, as a child, and they die at birth, or they die at 10, die at 6, because of times were rough. And so that's included as a life. It just might not be much that they've learned, but that might have been the learning for the parents and the family, that they have how to deal with loss. I went off subject. Sorry about that. So, but these beings, we have to be careful, because this realm is where these negative types have been cast to this dense level, these physical dense realities. And Phyllis says my purpose is part of it when I came in was to try to help people recognize, get out of this dense level. Don't keep reincarnating back in here. Forgive, repent of your energies, whatever it is you feel you've done wrong. Okay, I swore yesterday, I yelled at somebody, cursed them, or I had a bad thought. Just say to the creator, I'm an idiot, a child of you. I'm here on this plane. You know what I'm doing. And I'm sorry I said those thoughts, said those words, just had those thoughts about my own brothers and sisters. Forgive me for that. And you just repent it in that way, and creator nullifies it. That's how it works. And this is how even Yehoshua has told me.
Well, can I just jump in and say one thing? And also we have to forgive the unforgivable, and we're called to love the unforgivable, and that is a tough one, but that's what we're called to do.
Yes, we have to love.
That's what Jesus also said, as you well know.
Yes,
exactly what he said. That's the way to go. Very clear, very simple. Exactly. Forgiveness is everything.
I always bring in Sananda, who is Yehoshua, who was Yehoshua, Jesus on this planet Earth, who is the second in the creator. He is the creator. Okay, so we won't go there, but he is that being. And I've known him before I came to Earth as Sananda. So when I was a little kid, my grandmother was trying to teach me about some things, about 5 years old, 4.5, whatever. And she's telling me about Jesus. And I kept getting confused because she described him as a very kind being and everything. And I was saying, gee, he sounds like the person I already know, but not by that name right now that I can remember. So she brought out a little photo, little prayer card with a painting of Jesus on it. And I said, oh, that's how he appears when he comes to the planets. Down here, he comes to these levels. So on those astral levels and the other planes around the planet. How old were you
when you were telling her that?
About 4.5 to 5 years old. And so I said, I know him as a different being, but he is the infinite. I didn't know how to say infinite, but I said he is everything. But I've known him, and he's come to me when I would go out of body as a kid, a little 4-year-old and all that. And I was always going out of body back and forth to the ship, but I was in my own self. And then I'd have to go back and get back into that baby body in a crib and have can't speak, only telepathy. And then I realized, of course, as I was trying to speak, I heard my baby talk coming out of my mouth, and my ears popped inside, and I heard baby talking because I was being telepathic and calling to my mother and everything. They'd come. And then I heard the ears pop, and I heard my own voice. And I was in the crib trying to stand up in the crib. And I went, oh my gosh, in my head, I'm yelling, I can't control anything. Oh no, she's putting me back down. And as I'm going down, I'm saying, oh, I forgot. When we come anywhere into these dense levels, we have to relearn to do everything with the bodies again, the body you're given. So I just lay there like, oh, well, and continue to be telepathic, watching nature spirits in our apartment in Yonkers, it's things like that. It was in the crib.
Well, I think you so
it's there.
Also just mentioned that when we talk about access, I don't know how many times I've said, well, would you please ask Sananda this or that, if I'm trying to get verification on something like that. And inevitably, I have never been denied.
Yeah, asking you'll be given. Seek. He likes curious seeker souls. If we ask with innocence, just ask like a kid. You're a kid asking your mom and dad.
Oh, I wanted to throw in. I don't know if anybody's looked at the ET Universal Zone site, but on the About page, we had put in. I decided I'm going to put a couple of pictures of Ingo in there.
Ingo
Swan, one with you and him sitting there in front of the Millennium picture, and then one of the real art, the canvas.
Phyllis, I'm sorry, Phyllis, are you banging on the desk or something? Because there's something coming in here.
Sorry.
Okay.
So anyway, I put a couple of pictures that were relevant to Ingo on that site. And then I said, Mark, would you ask Ingo? Because we don't usually bother people that are in other realms. We don't do that. We don't go trying to talk to our parents or anything like that. But I said, would you just ask Ingo if he minds if I use his name to promote you? Because I think people like the idea of the fact that you knew him. And Ingo verified for Mark the day he met him, and I was there, that he was a walk-in and he was his own higher self. And from that day forward, we were always just, best, closest friends, and we worked on books with him. But I said, would you ask Ingo if it's okay? And what did Ingo say?
Ingo comes back. My over part was if you're connecting with your oversouls, they connect with each other telepathically. So as I was speaking about Ingo and Phyllis was speaking, I telepath to myself, which is like remote. We call it lucid remote viewing because I could be sitting here and I just go, and all of a sudden I'm seeing here in the ship, looking at my friends while I'm sitting here talking to Phyllis. So I could see them totally in a total screen, that I'm there out of body in my mind. And like I called it mind travel when I was a kid. I had no understanding of the words at, 6, 12, 10, I called it mind travel. I knew about out of body, but I didn't have that word. But I knew what I was doing was traveling. And later it's soul travel is really what I call it. And when I was looking, tuned in, my own part, Cerealist, was my name in space is Cerealist. All of a sudden I got Ingo, his oversoul. And he's telepathing to myself, which I hear through my telepathy, his actual words being said. Of course, sweetheart. Anything no problem. Do what you want. Go for it.
Do it.
He said, go for it. Because anything to bring people home. We're trying to get people to the high realms, not these first level, which we're on first plane 1, Earth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 around the planet. Then you got cosmic levels and non-universal, universal levels that we go to. This level we're on right now, this physical density, is not your home. It's just a testing ground. We call it boot camp. So this dense level is a boot camp for souls to learn and train. And they purposely they get themselves veiled. The angels that veil people before they come in to birth are veiled so that the past lives they've had doesn't interfere in a certain way to confuse them as they come awake. But other things will be set up for them before you come in. You set up your programs that you want to do. And certain programs might say, when I'm 5 years old, I'm going to trip, fall, and hit my head on a step, and I'll be unconscious, but then I'll wake up and everybody will be fine. But suddenly I'll be telepathic, I'll have ESP, that kind of stuff. Like the guy's getting hit by lightning and they are totally psychics. So these are awakenings moments, and we choose them, or I say they create them to set them up. If one is missed, there's another one coming. There's another one coming. You have certain setups, or they'll meet a person who will talk to them about something, totally get their curiosity going of what if this is, and then they'll start going a different path, trying to learn. So souls set that up, but also souls bring in certain talents they have from the other planets, galaxies where you come from. So I came in like as an artist, music soul, like you did, Nick. Your music and art, and also writing, you're doing that, but visuals as well. So that becomes cinematography type stuff. If you couldn't do on this planet, if you could, you'd make a movie. And Phyllis has that kind of ability. She's a artist, music, photographer type. She does all.
Producer.
She's worked with photographers, producers, and famous Pete Turner Studio and everybody. So it goes on, and
Mark, I got to say, just what you just said is about a year ago, I had a very lucid dream, and it was profound to me. And I woke up, and it was there. It wasn't like gone then, it was there. And I wrote it down immediately because, as we all know, if you don't write it down, it's going to go real quick. I did that. I couldn't get out of my head. And here we are a year later, and I'm working on a commercial product. I'm exploring the trademark, which I know the name, and I'm exploring the copyright because it involves visual and a product, an actual product. And that is all coming. And I'm very excited about this. When it gets going more, I'll let you know. But right now, I'm so excited that it all came from a dream that I had. And we had a few months ago for one of our Disclosure Network Zoom meetings, a whole meeting devoted to a person's dreams. And it was fantastic. People shared what they were dreaming, and some of it was you couldn't begin to make it up. So my question is just I got to ask you this.
yeah.
Talk about dreams a second. Where are they from? What are they doing to us? What should they? What is the message of dreams? Can you give me a little bit of that with your perspective?
For me, it's always been out of body, but when we have these lucid dreams, like you said, you were out of body and you went to that realm that we had. There's another realm where you can get inventions and ideas, and many souls can come in with the same ideas or inventions. And in the space we've worked on this, I was telling my dad about it when I was about 5 years old, how we took people from Earth to area of the ships and put it on a wall, a giant wall. These are not like walls we have. And all these formulas came across the walls, and we just told them to study the wall, and they were all studying the wall, watching it go, right? And knowing intuitively from what we were doing telepathically with my other crew friends, I understood. We took the people, different ones from Earth, these scientists, doctors, different ones, and I knew they were Earth people. I told my father, I know they were Earth people because they all came up to about my rib cage, which means, I'm about 9, 10 feet tall on the other ships and stuff. So and that was when 5 years old. So we understood that if you get them all this information, they look at it, it'll recall better because we had them in frequencies on the craft, big ships over the planet that we were working with. And when they go back to their body, not all of them will remember, but some might remember, and some may be triggered to remember something in the future. The idea is that the inventions will come in, and the formulas or whatever they were doing will come in to somebody there in that giant group. Someone's going to make it through. And so you come up with some incredible scientific discoveries or something. And I understood the formulas that went by, not now, not here, not in this head, but as I was watching it go, it was like incredible. And I told you when I was about 10 years old, Nick, when I was out of body and I went to the invention zones again, and I saw the formulas going by for math. And I'm not a mathematician on this planet, but I'm really good at math over there, but not here. My father on Earth was. He was like a super math genius. And he was disappointed that I didn't have the math. I was the artist. But I saw things, and one of them was E equals MC squared. And as it went by, I said, oh, that's that formula from Einstein. Now I'm about 10 years old on Earth. And I said, oh, so I saw it go visually. So I remembered it, and I saw it in a long white, like on a chalkboard in white across my head, your eyes closed. So I remembered it clearly. And I said, oh, and I'm going to wake up. So I'm waking up. And by the side of my bed, I always had an art pad, right? So I'm waking up and going, oh, now I'm awake in the bed with my eyes closed. I'm going, oh, there it is. I'm going to write it in my book. Instantly, an angel shows up on my right, and it wasn't my guardian. And he telepathically says, Earth's not ready for that information. So it might not have been an angel, it might have been a space guy. And he went towards my head here. I saw the hand come down, a big hand, and just pull energy like this. And just like a vacuum, it went, the whole formula went and stopped at E equals MC squared. The formula was longer. And I can say all I remembered was from what I researched and understood what it was on the other side. It was a time travel and dimensional portal jumping code, as well as the traveling of light and all beyond, dimensional space. So it was E equals MC squared times M I saw. And then it went, and there was more, but that's the last I got. And I knew the M meant mass. And it had something else after it, but it was long, and I saw it. But they could take that information right from you just like that, because it's not ready for the planet when it's coming in. Because they imagine that information in 1962 or 3. Oh. That's it was like I was 10, 63. So I was like, wow, that was amazing. I wrote down as much as I could, and every time I got to the next part, it would be blank. It would go poof, like white light. So when they do that, these scientists can come in with information, but again, it's only the formulas that they're allowed. So if you think of Einstein back in the 40s and the 20s, he was allowed to see certain formulas to a certain point, but then the rest can't be shown him because it wasn't ready. So or scientists like him.
And also composers, major symphonic composers, as you know, when asked on interviews, and it's in black and white, have said, actually, to be perfectly honest, I've had help. And the interviewer says, what are you talking about? He said, I don't believe it just came from me. I think that there was something else that was working within me, with me, and that's where I got my symphonic melodies. And I put them down, but I wasn't working alone. I thought that was incredibly revealing. Just like
and honest.
And yeah, that's great. Phyllis goes in honest. That's right. Wow. Yeah, so the way dreams come mostly in metaphoric zones with us. As you sleep, you have a dream. It's a metaphor. It's usually for your day, what you went through that day, or what problems you were trying to solve or think about, whatever you're dwelling on. So whatever you're watching on TV, videos or YouTubes or whatever you're looking at and reading about, and then you decide to go to sleep about a half hour or so, you might have a dream affecting that, whatever you were reading. So I would suggest do not watch vampire movies or evil movies or slaughter, kill, blood movies where they show blood. With
Yep.
those kind of movies comes negative entities that manifest around that, especially what we call the succubi. I forget, I always forget the name for the other. It's succubi or succubus, and those are the beings that are there for the taking of energy. Most of it's sexual energies, but there's the similar beings that are used that use similar energy the same way for scaring people with vampires and things. Because as much as people want to be romanticizing something that's evil, a thought that's evil, that's how they link people in and lure them in with tricks.
So just to be clear,
The negative beings.
for people that are hearing this, what you're holding in your mind before you go to bed, you could literally be attracting into your bedroom.
Okay, here we go.
It is
Yep.
a discarnate spirit.
Pornography pulls them right in, those succubus beings.
Good point. Good point. And
So-
I always stay away from all that, the dark stories, the dark, when you
Mhm.
get somebody with a knife going into a dark room and there's a baby. I don't consider that entertainment. I
No.
consider that in fact, I saw a movie like that. I didn't know what it was, where it was going. I got out of there so fast because it was just, I don't want any part of this. It was
No.
dark, negative, hurtful, nothing loving about it. So
Well,
yeah,
There's a lot of demons making movies in Hollywood right now because it's just overrun
Mhm.
by
Yep.
satanic overtones.
Yeah.
absolutely
everything.
true.
It's all
And-
about sacrifice.
Yeah, and sacrifice. So you're seeing a lot of evil sacrificing TV shows, a lot of the cop shows that are getting too gory and too realistic. Did you notice any of that
I
happening,
did
everybody?
absolutely.
You know,
Did, yeah.
someone's arm gets burned on, they pull it off and all the skin's coming off. I was like, why do we need to see? We know what's going on. What are you doing that for? Why do we have to see the detailed stuff? What the paramedics see this, we see that. Yeah, but they're trained for that. You don't show that when kids are watching TV eating dinner, and it's programmed into the children. And that's what they're trying to do, is program. Because what is a television but television, as we heard? That was the reason for its beginning. And we have to program and
It's also
good things.
desensitivity.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly what's going on, and it's aggressive. It's absolutely
Very.
aggressive. You're
Oh,
right on the money.
You know, I was telling, I guess I was telling you this 30 years ago, a long time ago, in the early 80s, when they were having these games. Remember Pac-Man, everybody, those little games, and they would play games on TV
Sure.
or radio, whatever they did. And when they were starting to get, I told Phyllis, they're going to get realistic. Watch what they do. And as they came out, I never played one of these games. I refused because they're programmers, as you know, everybody. I hope you're watching. They know they're programmed. They're just like your TV shows are programmed to, like, subliminally get us. That's why you at least stay around comedy. It's a dirty comedy, whatever comedy they got. They're trying to program us no matter what. They're even in the comedy, they're bringing in pornography in their words. They're
Yes.
bringing in all the words, you know, like, oh, are we going to scare them now? We're going to say these words out loud. You know, every body part. And you look at yourself and you go, no one talks like this. Why are they doing that? We don't talk like that normally. Oh, but they want you to think you do. So they're just trying to nullify and numb, like Nick said, numb them to that. So I said to Phyllis many years ago, watch when they bring in realistic looking games for these kids to play. And then remember, they got the ones that are 3D. Holy smoke, those are programmed bad. So the 3D stuff, I said to Phyllis, they're going to do some stuff that's going to be warlike. They're going to be so graphic and vivid. They're going to look like real dead people. They're going to actually look like real blood. They'll numb the children into feeling this is okay, normal, right?
Yep.
And then one day you're going to see a car accident and they're going to come over and stare at the person or take pictures. They're not going to help the person because they're
That's
used to
going on
seeing the
right
blood.
now. That is going on right now.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely true. That they'll stand there with their cell phone and take pictures when someone is being assaulted.
And they won't help.
And they won't help. They're right. One other point on that too is that I saw, and I don't do video games, but I saw a children's game, and it was all about shooting and killing. And when you get a kill, listen to this: blood streams from the top of the screen slowly down the screen as yes, you killed them.
What?
I couldn't even make that crap up. That's absolutely true. So, I killed somebody. That must be good because I got the blood coming down the screen. Can you imagine? That's for
Oh,
kids. Yeah, that's how bad. Yeah, and that's programming. That is
We know who
programming on an aggressive scale.
we know who's ruling this realm.
and so how are we going to teach those children anything spiritual?
Good question
Yeah.
because
They're not going to want it if it doesn't excite their emotional body.
Yep.
It's going to.
Yep.
it's steering them away from the good stuff and plunging them into the worst possible scenarios, desensitizing them and
Well, it's
setting them up
entrapping.
for really bad stuff coming up. And that's going
Exactly.
on right now.
People are worried
Yeah.
about archons and all kinds of entrapments.
This is entrapment.
This is entrapment.
And they don't realize it. And I've told children that we've met, try not to do that. Go outside, get into nature. There's real interesting stuff happening in nature if you tune in, but Nature Kingdom. But if they're going to be programmed in front of these TV sets day and night, now look what they've done. They lock them in, right, to program them. That's what's going on. Everybody, I know it. I mean, we hardly watch TV. And if we do, we try to put on things we've recorded, pre-recorded, or a comedy of some kind. Even the comedies don't make sense anymore. They're all putting people down in some way. Like
they are.
The adults are stupid. And that was happening back in the 80s.
Blacks against the whites against the blacks, these Asians. It goes on and on and on. And sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it's not subtle at all.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
No, they're not subtle anymore.
Yeah, now they're
just trying to program us and convince us that we're all evil.
Separate and conquer.
Yes.
Divide and conquer. That's what divide and conquer. Divide the races and get them at each other. And meanwhile, they won't look at the people who are really in back of the curtain, the ones that are doing
this. This is why, and it's not like we're trying to say abandon this level, but this is why we're saying it's time to evolve off this level. Take as many with you as you can through instructing them with the things that you know spiritually.
Yeah.
But this is what our mission is. Our mission is to try to help people, and we know we're for the few, not the many, stop incarnating back to first level frequencies.
We try to help people understand how to leave these levels because this is really training ground. A lot of people don't have to come back to incarnate again. They're just drawn back by family, friends, whatever's on the other side when they come back, children, grandchildren, they keep wanting to come back and come into their family units again, but they can get to the other side. And all the family meets up, who were once now brother, sister, mother, father. They're all interacting with each other in different ways as group friends and souls. And then you can get off this level, but there's a draw that goes on, a feeling that goes back, oh, this is the only place you can get this information or have this kind of experience, but it's not true. And so there's a forgetfulness sometimes that happens on those higher, the realms around the first heaven levels too. So people get together as family, they're having a great time on the other side, not realizing there's further places to go because they're having a great time where they are, because it's really blissful and beautiful. But there's many levels in the heaven realms, and there's many levels that people are drawn to by their thoughts and by their belief systems. So there's heavens for each religious group, as we want to call it, because in space we have no religions. There's no religion. It's just the oneness with the infinite and the threefold creator. That's it. The only divine beings there are: the creator, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as we call it. And so we know this in infinite space. Now, there's beings out there in space that don't know this, and these are the mid-Etherians, and sometimes people want to call some of the beings that come from certain zones and planetary systems, even in this galaxy. Some of them will call themselves Pleiadians, and may not be from Pleiades area, but they call themselves that for the space that you're looking to at the star systems up there. So some of them don't have the knowledge of who Yehoshua or Sananda really is. That means they haven't gotten beyond certain levels of understanding and frequencies. So they're happy and playing in their ethereal zones. And not all knowledge comes onto all those levels. And and they can still learn it, but they choose not to. Sometimes they're having a good time.
But this can go on for a very long time. I mean,
yeah. Now
thousands and thousands of years.
There's a group out there of beings calling themselves Plejarin, maybe whatever. Billy Myers, some people he met, and they were saying that they were telling lies of Yehoshua not dying on a cross.
Yeah, but I don't think that they knew it was a lie.
They believe that.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. They are promoting something that's definitely not true. Yet they didn't ask to research. They didn't go further. They just heard whatever, and that's how they
And
work.
we would also
So we
like
have to be careful.
to throw in here that there have been demonic forces on this planet at this level of consciousness since the planet existed, because they were cast into these lower frequencies
Not just on Earth,
on physical planets throughout the universe. And so they have been thinking about how to confuse sentient beings all along. They have infiltrated and encouraged people. They basically, you had your prophets, right? But you also had your shamans and your seers who were lied to. And so those people who did not get the correct information would have written a scroll with a lie on it because they thought they were writing the truth. And then that gets buried, and what's his name, Billy Meyer digs it up,
we don't know if that was not
3,000 years later, and all of a sudden it's truth.
That might have been planted. We don't know.
We don't know. All of a sudden it seems like it's written in stone, but literally what it is false ancient news.
Yeah, we call it fake ancient news. There's a lot of fake ancient
news. I love
news
that. That you've just coined something. I love that.
We've been saying it for quite a while, and we call it that because there's no other way to call it. Even before fake news.
And the reason we know what we know is because then I'll say, I might watch a video and then I'll have a fit and I'll go, Mark, what's this? This is so convincing, la la la. And then I say, go get, Sananda. I need to know from the source what's true and what's not true. And then I get the truth.
Speaking of truthful, there's been some very recently an amazing 3D replica done with 3D printing, a big 3D printer, where they scanned the Turin
shroud,
right, and they scanned that.
We saw that
through a process. They were able to, according to them, come up with a three-dimensional, full scale of Jesus. And I want to ask you, do you have any thoughts on that subject? Did you see the news? Did you see that news?
Yeah, we saw it.
And what did you think of it? I just wanted to know.
It's great. It was really he. That's his shroud. That really is his shroud.
Okay, that was my question, and therefore what they're duplicating. And they said they went into insane degrees of detail to try to get it right. Did you see the actual 3D full-size printing of the bot? What did you think of that?
Of the whole statue?
He wants to know if you think that it was an actual, it was a good representation.
Yes, it's very good representation, because when I had my own encounters with Christ, and I've been, I don't know how to say it, gifted by them or creator to go to see things. And I have to say kind of a kaishiki, but it's not. It was like I went into that time realm where I was actually standing there feeling the floor or feeling and smelling everything happening, hearing the language that sounds like a different language, like Aramaic or something. I don't know, Hebrew language talk, but I had translations going right in my head as I heard the words. So I've been in those situations where I saw him on the cross.
Wow. Oh boy.
And he was so beaten, whipped, that no pictures or anything has ever shown it that way. And I told Phyllis, I said, he is more beaten than people know. They don't.
That is true. I read a lot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. One time I saw Yehoshua appear in a Easter mass. And I was just crying. Phyllis was watching me cry. And I'm telling you where Christ was standing. And he was like, after he'd been whipped and beaten, he was down like this. He was about 10 feet from the priest at an altar, who was going to be doing he's preparing for the Eucharistic consecration. Wow. He was so beaten. And I said, Phyllis, he's all beaten. And he's red everywhere.
Yeah.
No one knows what he looked like in this, whipped on his arms, whipped everywhere. These things went wrapping around. So they right around your stomach. They whipped around his thighs. They whipped around on his calves, on his, and anything whipped through they just had him on a little loincloth thing. They whipped him. That's nasty, horrible, painful stuff.
One of the words, yeah, absolutely. So, a question.
And that crown was deeper than they show. Thorns this big.
Thank you for that. And also, really in the news recently, they were talking about the Vatican, and that the Vatican has, according to these articles, a time machine mechanism, and they say that they have actually photographed Jesus in different parts of his life by going in a time machine. Have you ever heard anything about that?
Well, a long time ago, I don't
Okay.
know, the Vatican has that information, but back in the 70s, our friend Bryce and I talked about Bryce Bond, and he had known some people in the secret people, I guess we'll say, and
Okay.
they mentioned that they have seen, or I don't know if it might have had something to do with the Montauk Project, maybe, but they had seen photographs of and made clips of Christ, like walking somewhere or
Yeah.
appearing someplace. And it was just like looking through the looking glasses. I thought that was the Looking Glass Project originally, but maybe it changed to another Looking Glass project. So
Yeah,
that was what
I'm
I
aware of that
heard.
also, and that was
Who
an
has photos?
article.
I don't know. I don't know who has the photos.
Have you seen photos?
Have you seen any of the photos?
Yeah, they were black and white, and they weren't really crystal clear, but yes, and it
I
was.
only saw one.
Uh,
I
uh,
never saw more than one from.
I think I have a file, and if I find it, I'll email you those so you
Oh,
can
that'd be
take a
great.
Okay,
look. I'd be
because
happy to do that. Do you
because
want to now? We are
oh,
on. I mean, this goes so fast. I mean, we're right now.
we didn't
At,
finish the dream thing, but that was cool.
yeah. Well, hello for part 2, 3, and 4, guys.
Okay.
Please. We're at about 15, 20 minutes before we have to go off. So I'm just wondering if you'd be so kind, if there's anybody who has a one sentence question, just a quick question, would you be okay with that if I asked?
Yeah,
Is that all
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. If Carol, Linda, or anybody, Sonia, anybody
Hi,
has
Linda.
Jim, do you have anything you'd like to ask? Uh, Raise your
Um,
hand or wave your hand so I can see you. If you have a quick, okay, Jim, a one sentence question for Mark. Go ahead.
oh, let Satya go. He's kind of taking over there.
Who did?
Oh, oh
Okay,
yeah, hi. Hi.
it has to be one sentence.
Thank
One
you
sentence.
for.
A question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, a one sentence question. One sentence to Mark.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What are your experiences with the Eastern mystics? Anything you can shed light on that?
I mean, like a
Because
Paramahansa Yogananda or something like that?
Yeah, I'm friends with Paramahansa.
yes, yeah. Neem Karoli Baba, where Steve Jobs himself went to see him, and Zuckerberg went and actually he died, but on advice of Steve Jobs, he went to see. He has displayed many paranormal things, like being in two places at the same time, and many things. Have you heard of Neem Karoli Baba?
No, I'm not familiar with many of the Eastern people. I just know Paramahansa Yogananda because I was friends with him.
Okay,
I
let's
know
go
him,
on
and I know
say,
Sai.
let's go on and say this. If you want to email me, I'm going to give you my email address. Email me information so that I can give it on to Mark and Phyllis. Okay.
And we
So
know Babaji.
my email address is NICK
Mhm.
NYNY the numeral 1 at gmail.com. If you'd be good enough to email me any comments or questions you have, I'll make sure that Mark will get them. Okay, we'll do that. We got to go on now because we're getting out of time. Jim, you had your hand up. So, Jim, unmute,
Yep.
and if you want to ask a question.
Sure. Mark,
Thank-
thanks again. As always, this is fantastic. When you do your podcast, please do a full hour on Ingo Swan, because I always ask about Ingo Swan. And I'm not going to ask you to say hello to him for me again, because the last time I did that, my internet immediately dropped off, and I had to
Whoa.
restart my system to get back into the meeting.
Whoa.
It was
Jim.
very weird.
Yeah,
Jim,
I remember that.
Jim, what's
Yeah.
your last name? All of a sudden, I know we're email, right? We have email.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Jim.
give you that, Mark. I'll
Jim
give you that.
Roma. Just tell him not to
ROMA.
turn my internet off, okay?
I'll give you that also, Mark. You'll have
It
that.
wouldn't be Ingo.
But if you have any, I know we're short on time, but I always ask any Ingo Swan stories you want to share.
Well, the one that we just did the other day was unbelievable.
Let's hear it.
Walking down the corridor, because
Oh gosh, guys. Wow. we were asking if it's okay to use some of the photographs, which you'll see on the ET Universal Zone about that section called About. Just scroll down, you'll see a photograph Phyllis posted. And the other picture of us is Phyllis and I in our higher aspect forms out of body on the ship. That's just to let people know when you're out of body or when you get to the crafts we're talking about, where you're not from Earth, you do not look like you do on Earth anymore. You look like you're perfected. Let's say what Creator talks about, or Yehoshua says, your ascended self or your glorified body. Okay, so that's what you're going to appear as you think and feel who you are from space, because you're not from Earth, you're from everywhere on the verse. We were talking, and my overpart got connected to Ingo. So now I'm sitting with Ingo in my visual of the space Ingo, the Ingo that does not look exactly like Ingo of Earth, but he's close enough. He's a young version of Ingo at about 25, 30 years old. But then he has a little bit of the aspect of form because he's not from Earth. He knows he's from space. And he was once Phyllis is my father from another galaxy. So we all knew that. And we used to call him Dad. But he has the eyes like this. You gotta take a sip. I got dry.
I can imagine. Take your time there. Take your time, Mark.
One of those moments.
Yeah.
And it might even be because I'm going to talk about something.
I have a feeling that's part of what's going on. And that's actually wonderful. Go ahead.
When that happens, you've had that?
Oh, yeah.
Not supposed to talk about something, maybe. Okay, I'll just say lightly what I'm talking about.
Take your time. Take your time.
The more I bring it up, the more
it goes. Do you want to take a moment with that? And Phyllis, do you want to fill in for a second?
Okay, go on. Okay.
She's going to give me some hot water.
Oh.
It's weird when that happens, because that's happened to me when I gave lectures. It starts up like that, and I knew, don't say anything right now from that point on. So I didn't, and I turned the subject, and everything was okay. But it looks like there's information that I can give just a little.
Okay.
What
you can.
Ingo has the eyes like the space people we've seen on. If you go to my website, you'll see some of them, intergalacticmission.com. He's kind of perfected in that way, but he still has a little bit of his Ingo look. So if you could find a younger picture of Ingo on the internet, and there's a few on his website, ingoswan.com, I feel, you can see a little bit of Ingo in the projection. And he goes right now in space by his name Ingo because it's just easy for them to know. But he does have a different space name, a soul name. But for now, we can get him. I talked to him through Ingo as Ingo. Ingo does not like channelers. He told me and Phyllis, I will not channel. I do not believe in that. And don't expect me to come in and tell people that if they're channeling and they think they got me, it's not me because I'm not doing that. So I warn people about it. And they say, well, don't go channeling for Ingo. But I never channel. But he tunes in to my overpart. So that's who I'm talking with. I'm not getting anything like that. I'm talking with him as a mind traveler out of lucid remote viewing into my overpart as usual. So there's Ingo saying, do whatever you want, because we're saying, can we use your photos? He says, go for it. But he has a way of talking on Earth that was unique with us. He would call us the sweethearts. So he goes, oh, that's okay, sweetheart. Do what you want. It's okay. Go for it. So he said, okay. So Phyllis decides to ask some questions for fun. He's showing me his apartment on this giant ship that's outer dimensional place, but outside our galaxy in between space. So it's a deep space, but not in our galaxy. But he said, if I went to one side of the ship, you could see our galaxy from the windows out there in the higher form. Our galaxies in different forms too. So he was showing me that. And then Ingo loved cigars. That was his pastime for fun. It calmed him down. And he manifested a cigar. And he pretended to smoke it. And no, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help affect you in any way. It's just a thought form. But he did it as fun. He goes, ha, ha, ha. He does it for fun. He does it as a joke. And where he is on the ship, sometimes he'll do it as a joke with some of the space people he knows now. And they start laughing because they realize it's a joke with him. And it's just what Earth people do, when they're on Earth. So he was saying, see what, you got me going, got to smoke. So he's just kidding. So even though whatever you're doing, you don't eat on those levels, there's no food like that, but you can manifest thought form food. You can create that, taste it, and it'll just dissipate. As soon as you swallow here, there's an energy, dissipates into frequency. So there's no food, there's no digestive systems like that. It's just understanding. So that's how some of the ETs and friends of friends share with each other things they've learned on other galaxies and planet systems. So he's walking in his apartment and he's looking at this window and he's showing it to me from his perspective as if I was behind him as my over projection remoting, you know, like there with him. So he's talking to me and I know I'm a reflection there as my oversoul. He knows it's me because he's already seen me. He knows what I look like. So I'm talking to him as a, let's say, an out of body mind projection to Ingo on his level where he was located on the seventh dimensional spaces and up to the eighth on that ship. My crew and me, we're on the 12th and plus. So my over part connected that way, sending a thought image over to talk with Ingo. And I'm about 9 feet, whatever size I was. Ingo, you asked him, how tall are you now, Ingo? He says, oh, about 7.5 feet. Now he's been over there for how many years? Since 2013.
Yeah,
and he's been learning, and he's over there in projects he's working on. So he's talking with Phyllis about some of the things you talked to him about, or maybe.
Well, I asked him about the. I said, "Isn't it funny?" I said that the one picture I have of you and Mark is sitting in front of the Millennium painting, which of course is the end of the world scenario.
It's like a 20-foot painting that was in his basement studio and took up the whole wall in the back. So that picture down below in our about section is that me at a table with him. We were at a big table. Phyllis took a picture. And so he says, appropriate and prophetic.
Oh,
that's what he wrote. Then Phyllis and he laughed with his fake cigar. Appropriate and prophetic. It goes like that.
And he also said to me, he said, "Are you enjoying the site I sent you to?"
Yeah, he says, "Are you?" Yeah, he said, "Are you enjoying the website I sent you to, sweetheart?"
wow.
And that was the Ben Davidson website. Everybody tune into that one called suspiciousobservers.org. And that information is true. And and I've been speaking of this since the 1970s and 60s. I was talking about how our planet is going through things, and our sun is causing the things going on in our solar systems and the other planets. But our galaxy is moving into a whole new area in space as well. And this I've been telling my father since I was 5 years old. The thing is, there's no way to explain it, but and when the 70s, they had the global warming, they had greenhouse effect, they had books like that out. And one was global this, the next was cooling. It was back and forth, back and forth. And I said to my father at the time, he showed us something. And I said, no, it's the sun. It's not me, it's the crew, everybody. The sun, it's the sun doing it, not the earth, not the people on it.
Not the CO2 emissions.
Not all that. It's just builds up a little, yeah, but this planet's had something more CO2 emissions than the dinosaurs walking around. So, you got a lot of things going on planet Earth that is not being told the truth. But my other gang here, we're saying, why do you think they're trying to go underground? Why do you think they're trying to get into space as fast as they can with anything they can get up there to build, plus the satellite station that they have, a space station they've been working on now for 20 years that's out there that they don't talk about. We've seen it in space. They don't tell us everything on this planet, but I've seen it out there. We've seen the space station they show you. That's real. Then they have another one further out, way out, that's out there. They're working on all the time with some other ET friends of theirs. So there's stuff going on. They want to rescue some people, yes, but mostly their people, mostly their important people. They're going to go underground, but not the regular us on top of the planet. You're going to burn up in your solar emissions and solar micronovas.
It's a micronova.
It's not a mini flash.
They're calling it a solar flash. Every new age person on the planet saying there's going to be a solar flash, and I'm like, it's a micronova.
A solar flash.
It happens about every 12,000 years.
Doesn't give you the perspective of what's really coming.
It's a cycle.
And they gave us, meaning the bad people, the bad ones, they give you everything they want to tell you about in their movie system. So, because they have to put it out before they do it, right? Yep. To say, we told you so.
Well,
so
they're not doing it though. This is a cosmic.
Types.
Well, I'm saying that the micronova isn't being caused by anybody, by
No.
Satanists.
No, micronovas are caused by the galaxies going through this
It's
things it's
just
going through.
it's just a cosmic cycle. That's all.
Other stars are having it happen right now from the center of our galaxy coming towards us. They're having a frequency that's happening, and it happens every 12 to 13,000 years. And we're in that cycle right now.
Yeah,
That's going to be happening.
yeah.
And they're saying, oh, it's not going to happen for a long time. Oh, yeah. Well, I came in to rescue Phyllis, to get her out of this frequency before this planet gets put back into caveman days. That's what happened 12,000 plus years ago. That's why they lost all their writing, and they had to make a Bible, make everything again, cuneiform, everything. We've had many advanced civilizations here. Many of them took off and left. Some went into the center of the earth areas where they work and live in there with some of these people down there. But not everybody's rescued. Not everyone's going to make it. And when the micronovas hit, they hit the side of the planet that's facing the sun. So the other side of the planet might have some survivors in that way.
Except
And
when the Earth tilts back and forth.
until we have a excursion event with our North and South Pole, that causes a flip. Now they got the waters rushing from Pacific over and then the Atlantic over. So now we're wiping out everything. Just it's happened before 4 times on this planet.
No, I mean more than that.
Well, more, but where you can see where civilizations were wiped out, and you got batteries and geodes millions of years old, or you have giant staircase that only 30 plus foot people could walk up. Those are space bases that were here.
I mean, the Bible basically is a prophetic document that was written not only by spiritual prophets, but extraterrestrials giving information, or the information is coming from a few different places when you get into these documents, these spiritual documents.
Yeah.
So many of them are saying the same thing.
Yep. And so to get back to Ingo, he was asking Phyllis about that website he sent her to, because she made.
I gotta say, guys, don't touch that table, because this banging, it's going right through to everything.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you're touching, don't touch the table at all.
It's probably my
It might have been my
rings,
hand just then.
rings.
Okay,
Anything with the table, it's like bang, bang, you're hearing it.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay, got it. We'll keep a pillow here. So that's what
So
Ingo was saying. Did you go check that website out? Because he said he's the only one right now. There's a few others on Earth, but he's the one out there with the link that is telling truth that the governments are trying to hide from. But some of it, they're starting to admit some stuff. So we got to keep watching what they're putting out now, the mainstream people. They're putting a little bit of information on. I think Phyllis caught it one day, something about with the sun. Now, remember the movie with Nicolas Cage called Knowing?
Yeah.
That one is based on the solar emission, let's say, or micronova, or whatever they want to call it. Then you had 2012, showing that they're trying to escape and trying to get away.
Yep.
And then
the tsunami, the gigantic tsunami.
Yeah, 2012 was that one, right? And then there was another one the day after or something.
That was freezing. That's
where everything instantly freezes with the earth flipping. So we have little things going out there, but I want people to understand that our friends in space, who are our family and friends, are prepared. There's many alliance groups that are working together from different galaxies to come in. They come in, and they know about our solar system. It's a very watched solar system, and our planet Earth, they know about it. It's like a place in space. If they had a reality show, Earth would be it. But what the heck are they doing? So they are also trying to help us. But the way you can get helped by the beings in those higher craft are to keep your energy fields high, keep your thoughts on creator, keep your thoughts on love, raising your frequencies. We hear about the raising frequencies, but there's a real reason for it, and this is one of them. You keep your auric energy, keeping it to a white, glowing, sparkling diamond effect with touched and burnished in gold, shimmering light around the outer edges. So now you can be encased in that light. And on the ships, we've shown this in our talks. We have some slides in our what do you call that? The broadcast workshops that show how we appear, how we're in space, we're looking down at the planet, because I've done this before, and I've rescued people from the second Atlantis that was there. So we can see their energy fields, and we tune into them, and then we can teleport them right into the ship, which happened to me in 2015 and happened to me before in 1976, 77. So I've been teleported on the craft, and it happens like that very quick. So it's a time lapse. They can do that, but they will not be able to pick up anybody who has negative, evil thoughts, pornography, evil things like that, children, anything evil.
Dark auras.
Dark brown auras, dark black auras, which is satanic, and some other color auras that are not the light. You want to get the pink, blue, lavender, purple, bright white, golden light. That's what you want to raise to, the lightest and the whitest.
It's literally the rapture.
And it will be taken. You can't be children are taken, innocents, they're taken first. They'll be taken first. So the thing is this has happened before, and there are beings that do it. But if you don't believe in it, well, then it's not, you're going to be drawn to do it. If there's a ship up there and you're telepathically hearing something, you would maybe wonder what they want. They're testing people daily, all the time on planet Earth. They go around with their craft. They have these spheres and different ones, and they put out a pulse. That's a frequency pulse. And I've watched how they do it. A pulse that says in different languages in a frequency around the crafts. Hi, hello, look up. Hi, hello there, welcome, look up. Things like that. And you feel to look up. Or telepath, you hear them, you look up. And all you're turned around to look up. And you can see a sphere there, or a disc, or a spaceship. Not always you will see something. Sometimes it's invisible in the sky to test us. They want to see if you're going to project anyway, even though you don't see them. That means you have faith, you trust in them, and that they're the good guys, because they telepathically, if they're sending you love. And you just send out, I hear you, I see you. In my mind, I know you're there. Or I thank you for testing me. I promise I'm going to keep looking when you call. You'll find you'll be tested at different times when you don't expect it. And when you look, you'll see a sphere, and it'll hover for you. Maybe it'll do a dance, and you'll hear information, and it'll take off or just flash off and dematerialize to the next dimension. So this is how they test everybody, and they monitor everyone that way who listens and hears them. So I have friends that have done that. They didn't believe in it, but they said, well, walking down the street of New York on the east side, our friend Diane, and Nick knows. And so she was walking along, she heard in her head, hello, look up, turn around, or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was walking up one sidewalk and turned around automatically without thinking while she was hearing it. And over a building around the Central Park was a silver object. And she knew it was the spaceship. And she said, oh, thank you. She answered. And they went over the park and dematerialized. So that's how fast they are. They go like that. So she called us up to tell us that. And that's exciting, because we took her to see her first UFOs up in the Botanical Garden, right? And then in 2010 or something, or 29. So these are things that how they test us and how they can look for that. And I'm telling people, please focus and think on those. Adonai vas subaragas is the words to use. That means blessings and love and light of the infinite reigning creator. You are saying that to your space brothers and sisters.
Mark, if you'd be so kind, if you would just email me what you just said, that part of it, that quote you just did, I want to put it out for everybody. I think that would be very, very good.
Oh, the
Adonai vas subaragas?
Yes, that.
Email the link to the site.
Oh, it's in Q&A on our website.
Oh, it is.
Intergalactic Mission.
It's already there.
Yeah, scroll down on Intergalactic Mission to the
And
Q&A.
I recorded Mark's voice saying
I'll
it.
say the
too.
words.
Oh, really? Okay, well, that's even better. Now, guys,
And
again,
was-
we are at the
we're out
end
of time?
we're at the end of our Zoom meeting for Disclosure Network New York. Mark and
Nick?
Phyllis, you are I can't. Not now, please. We're at the end of this. So Mark and Phyllis, thank you so much for all that you've been doing and are doing. You are an amazing. I love you so much. We all do. And you both are heroes to me. You are. Just thank you for all of that. You deserve
my
to hear
hero.
that. Really.
Thank you.
And to everybody on our Zoom meeting, I know that some of you have questions for Mark and Phyllis that we didn't get to. The time is gone. So if you would email me your questions, I'd be more than happy. Mark, is that okay? I
Yeah.
can email them to Mark so you can get an answer if you have a question you would really like to ask. So please go ahead today and do that if you will. So I'm going to go
But
ahead.
we're not really interested. We're not.
Wait. Okay, hang on. I got to go. You can't interrupt me now, please.
Oh.
So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to do the end of this now, if I may, and got to go off. So thank you all for being here. This is Nick Curto for Disclosure Network New York. wishing you all an enlightened journey as you connect the dots to seek the truth. Goodbye for now. Much love out there to everyone. Take care and goodbye. Bye bye.
Thank you.